A lot more that we could talk about than this particular conversation will allow. We want to let folks get to lunch pretty quick here, but there is at least a couple more comments from the audience.
I teach in a school where homophobia is pretty rampant among my fourth graders. It's something I've had to deal with a lot this year and really address. And I was particularly pained in the movie with the suicide rate, and especially the one man who had been tortured in college. And I was just wondering if there's anything that's been done for reparations for him. I mean, similar to other organizations who have abused children, they've had to pay reparations or make amends. And I'm just wondering if there's anything for probably hundreds, if not thousands, of young men and women who have been re-educated. Is there any talk of reparations to them and any healing going on about that?
I don't know, but it's a good idea. No, I just think anytime we can get this issue in front of a judge and in a courtroom, and that's where civil rights live, and it's where truth has to be told. So even if it's not, I'm not talking about just revenge, but let's bring them into court so they have, both sides get to tell their truth.
And so other generations, kids coming up will see that someone else was hurt and they're fighting for their rights and they're standing up for themselves. And I was particularly pained by the campaign that they used primarily Hispanic children in the ads for "Look out me, you're going to hurt me," and I thought that was really particularly wrong to target one community. Thank you.
Paula, you had a comment?
Yeah, I just, first of all, I have been screamed at by people in traffic because of my mother said this, like, screaming at me, like, I'm like, whoa. But often people, it upsets me too when people try to call this a self-serving movement instead of a civil rights movement. It's what it is. It's our generation's civil rights movement. And, you know, and with me, it's like, why is the straight girl so concerned about this? Like, because I'm a civil rights activist, because they believe in that. And I think it's super important in this country to remember that we already went through this. It was like 5 minutes ago, I think it was 1967, where interracial marriages and coupling were illegal. It was felonious in the South. It was a jailable offense to a straight couple, but to be of two different races. And until, and I think it was 1967, the case of Loving versus Virginia, very luckily that was their name, a couple like yourselves took it to court and won. But it seems so insane right now that it was illegal to marry outside of your race. And this, too, I think very soon will seem completely insane as soon as we win.
And keep in mind that at the same time that that was happening, 2/3 of the American public were against interracial marriage.
Yes, they were.
And the court still sided on the side of equality, which is the most important thing. So we're actually in a better spot now. If the, you know, they say the courts don't get too far ahead of public opinion, but that's pretty far. 2/3 of America being pretty far above them. So. You know, we're in a much better place now, so we just need to continue that momentum. And as more positive things happen within our movement, then it'll be that much easier for the judges to do the right thing.
Did the state Supreme Court overturn Proposition 8? I thought
no.
They should have.
It was a federal.
The federal court.
It was a federal court that did it, and now it's at the Ninth Circuit under appeal. So yeah, it's gone. And we should know more by October.
Yeah. August 4th will be our 1-year anniversary of overturning Prop 8 in our case. And so you can just see, you know, you hear these stories about lawsuits taking years and years to come to fruition, and we're living that right now. So we just keep saying to people, it's like the apathy creeps back in when there's so much time between events. And so what happens is we have to, work hard to keep the energy alive and making sure that the message is still out there, because in effect, Prop 8 is dead, except it's being held right now in the appeal system. And we feel very confident that it's going to be dead, for good soon. But that doesn't stop the other forces or coalitions from continuing to say that they're going to go to New York and protest people's marriages. I mean, when you become a punisher versus a protector, you have to consider your intentions, right? I mean, what is your intention? Is your intention to protect marriage or to punish people who are going to enjoy the benefits of marriage? So we have to keep that message alive. I think it's very important to keep that floating.
I want to help if I can.
We appreciate that. Let's take one final insight from the audience.
Yeah, my name is Tom Carpenter. I'm a member of this church and also a member of Service Members Legal Defense Network Board of Directors. I have a little message of hope. I have always maintained that 3 M's are the 3 items that are going to get us to our equality. The military, marriage, and the ministry. And I was in Washington, D.C. meeting with the Pentagon Working Group last May, and a Air Force 2-star general who's the chief of staff of the group turned to me and said, what are we going to do about DOMA, like Prop 8? How can we do a workaround? Are you in favor of that? And I looked at him, I said, is the Pope Catholic, General? I said, of course I'm in favor of that. He said, I want you to know, and I want all the officers in this room to know, that we are offended by the fact that we're going to create 2 classes of citizens of the military. How can we have one class of citizens that are first-class citizens and another group that are second-class citizens? And then he turned to me and he said, you folks have really enlightened us. We produced a paper about, we call it Gay 101, about gay language. And General Ham, the 4-star general, who's in charge of that working group, was in a meeting with a bunch of other generals, and he said, somebody asked him a question about homosexuals. He said, we don't call them homosexuals anymore. He said, they're gays and lesbians. Does anybody in this room not understand that? They are offended by that term, and rightfully so. So I give you some inside information of hope here. I mean, the world is changing. Your movie and Harvey Milk, you know, way back when you said the most important thing was coming out, it's true. And these personal stories, that's what got us to move Don't Ask, Don't Tell. It was all those people standing up and being heard. Same thing with you guys. You know, getting up there and telling these stories over and over and over again, and people are going to see that we're just regular folks doing the same things that everybody else in the world does. And I just give you that little message of hope as we close down here.
That's a beautiful place for us to, yeah, thank you. A beautiful place for us to place this conversation on pause and then go out into our daily lives and perhaps, as you say, inspired by these pieces of filmmaking and by conversations such as this, spur more conversations and forward as we can grow in understanding. I want to thank our panel. Thank you, Reed, for joining us on the telephone, Dustin Lance Black, also Paul Katami and Jeff Zarrillo. Big thanks to Hollywood, UMC, to Chad, and to Kathy for facilitating this and for having the whole CrossFlix series, and to all of you for coming. Thank you so much.